Masculinity causes a lot of debate nowadays. On one hand, you've got figures like Andrew Tate and the manosphere online, and on the other hand, you've got modern day feminism. It can all be confusing, especially for young men who are now questioning what it means to be a real man. I know that when I was younger, I bought into the idea of a man being someone who looks traditionally masculine. A lot of facial hair, big muscles, a lot of money, and he's able to sleep with any woman he wants to and beat up any man he wants to. I didn't have this image in my head all the time, but subconsciously I started to believe that these traits were more manly. Thankfully, I now understand what it really does mean to be a man. And it has nothing to do with how you look or how socially cool you are. It's all about the strength of your character on the inside, how emotionally intelligent you are, taking responsibility for your actions, and your moral compass and values. It's not about sleeping with 100 women or lifting weights. It's about being secure enough in yourself to live your life on your own terms, while still being kind and respectful to others. So in this video, I'm going to give you my idea of what a real man is, and you can decide for yourself whether or not you agree. Because after all, a real man must decide on his beliefs for himself. A real man is emotionally intelligent. This is the most important character trait in my opinion, because not only does it let you control and understand yourself better, but it also helps you to have healthy relationships, from your friends to your family to your partner. Because if you're unable to control your emotions and understand others, then you will push people away. You see, the truth of a man's character always comes out in difficult and stressful situations. And to me, this is shown in how he treats others, as this is a reflection of how he feels about himself. For example, if you can't have a disagreement without becoming angry and defensive, or if you can't take any criticism without getting riled up and confrontational, then you are not a real man, in my opinion. And I'm sure that many people watching this have come across guys like that, who think that they are masculine because they're strong and aggressive, and when they cross other people's boundaries, they're just being too sensitive and it's their fault. But in reality, when a guy is quick to anger and unable to handle criticism, and when he feels the need to put other people down to prove his own strength and worth, then he's really just an insecure child. One who has little, if any, emotional intelligence. A real man does not feel the need to throw his weight around in order to prove himself. He has empathy and self-awareness, which will show up in how he treats people. His relationships are healthy because he puts effort into the people who match his values and lets go of the ones who don't. When someone has a problem with him, or he has a problem with someone, he can communicate effectively without feeling the need to resort to anger and insults. He does not invalidate anyone's emotions because he understands them as well as his own. Now, there are limits to this. For example, if someone is taking your calmness and kindness for granted and they are being toxic to you, then it may be better to cut them off and stand up for yourself. You don't need to deeply empathize with those types of people because they're not going to understand. But in general, you will be able to see a man's emotional intelligence from how he deals with people and how he handles problems in his relationships. He is not quick to anger, he is able to understand people, and he is mature about how he handles disagreements. I've just briefly mentioned how a real man can also stand up for himself. Well, this takes courage. And it's this courage that lets you live a life where you are true to yourself, despite what other people may think. As an example, when you look at people like Andrew Tate and similar figures online, they may not be the perfect role models, but there's no doubt that they have the courage to speak up for what they believe in, despite knowing that thousands and even millions of people will despise them for it. Now compare this to most men who lack the courage to even tell their friends and colleagues how they truly feel about something, or to give them their real opinions. Instead, they just simply agree with everything, to fit in and avoid any discomfort. You may be called possessive or controlling for telling your girlfriend that she can't have lots of male friends, but at least you have the courage to express your boundaries. You may be judged for your real opinions, but at least you're not hiding them. And you may be laughed at and called weird for not liking and doing what everyone else likes and does, but a real man does not care because he has the courage to be disliked. Even though he is emotionally intelligent and considerate of others, he is also secure enough in himself to not need everyone's approval. The truth is that the more you stand out and the more you express your real beliefs and opinions, the more you will be disliked and even hated for it. This is just an inescapable fact of life. You can't please everyone, and if you try to, then you will be taken advantage of. For example, your girlfriend may disrespect your boundaries, or your boss at work may treat you poorly because you are unable to speak up for yourself. If you do have more of that people-pleaser mentality, then you may be more liked in general, but you'll also be more abused. A real man does not tolerate this because he respects himself and his own values. He is kind and empathetic, but also strong and firm when it comes to his own beliefs. A real man is responsible for his actions and their consequences. It's what really shows maturity. He does his best to keep his word, but he also knows that he is not perfect and he will make mistakes. But the key is that when he does, he owns up to them. He doesn't make excuses for his bad choices or for his bad behavior. You can be very confident in yourself and believe that you're doing the right thing, but you're not always going to. You will mess up and you will hurt people. The difference between making this worse for yourself and them is whether or not you're able to own up to it and apologize. There are so many men who struggle to do this or who simply don't because of their ego or their pride, but a real man is humble enough to admit when he is wrong. It's quite an easy way to see a man's character, in my opinion, because any man can spend all day justifying his actions and saying why he's right, but a real man takes accountability for how he affects other people, even if he does not like it, and even if his intentions were not bad. There are limits to this, and I'm not saying that you should apologize when you've done nothing wrong, but you must be humble enough to recognize when you have. So you will notice in this video that I haven't talked about exercising or fighting or reading or other skills that are genuinely good for you in different ways. This is because you can have the best physique in the world, the most money in the world, and be successful in many different areas. But if you have a shitty character, then in my opinion you can't call yourself a real man. Those other things may be good for you, like going to the gym makes you feel better about yourself, learning new skills raises your self-esteem, but they do not make you a real man by default. The character traits I've discussed in this video are what I believe to be true masculinity. So let me know if you agree in the comments, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.